Great.
Okay. Hello and welcome to Out on a Limb with Gabby Allen. Today we have Susie Black. Super excited to have her back. She was with us before. We had a blast, and so we're going to get started this time just by asking our regular question. What is it that you do and how do you do it?
Well, I'm now a full-time author. I
That's
was
awesome.
in the yes. Well, sometimes life takes over, and
Yes.
COVID kind of killed the swimwear business for a while. So
Yeah.
um, I had lots of time to write, and it just seemed like the right time to do it. And because all of my books are based on my career as a swimsuit sales lady.
Right.
So I write humorous, cozy mysteries, all taking place in the Los Angeles apparel industry. And
Okay.
it's very cathartic. I kill off a lot of people that in real life I would have loved to have knocked off.
Right.
Absolutely. My son is a psychologist, and I tell him, honey, this is great therapy. You should include this in all of your patients because let me tell you, there is something really gratifying
Yes.
if you want to just knock somebody off and then you don't go to jail. It's really good. Although he's always saying to me that, Mom, if anybody ever looks at your Google searches, they're going to think you're a serial killer.
Right? That's scary stuff. It can be. So have you ever made somebody the villain instead of killing them off, just knowing that they'll get caught and have to go to jail?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. I did that once, and that was fun because they ended up getting killed anyway, but it
Well,
was
there you
good.
go. Oh,
It
too
was. It was fun.
excuse me.
But I've been doing a lot of writing,
Good.
and I have one book that was the debut author, the debut book, Death by Sample Size, was released last year,
Yeah.
and it won a couple of awards, which is
Awesome.
nice. And now I have 4 new books that are going to be released this year, 90 days apart. So I
Wow.
don't know if I'm absolutely nuts or I'm a genius. You'll have to find out. I'll let you know. Lots of marketing, market, 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 and more
Yeah.
market.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now, are those
that's
all
the
with the
fun
Wild Rose
part. I'll
Press?
tell you that much.
Absolutely. Are those all with the Wild Rose Press also?
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
Very
it
cool.
is.
So
And then
what is the next one? What's the next one?
next Wednesday, this coming Wednesday, and that
Awesome.
book is Death by Pins and Needles. And
Nice.
then Death by Surfboard will come out in May, and Death by Cutting Table comes out in August. And the last book will come out in November, and it is not a murder mystery. It is actually the first manuscript I ever wrote, and it's called Rag Lady. And it is the fictionalized version of how I got into the apparel business.
Very cool.
And I, during my career, I kept a journal, and all of my writing is based on my journal entries about the
Huh.
very unique group of people that I met
All
and
right.
some of the crazy situations I got myself into and out of. But my nana once told me, and she was the smartest, wisest one I ever knew. She said, "You watch, you're going to be a writer because you were destined to be in the apparel industry because you were meant to write about it from a woman's point of view."
Oh, I love it.
And lo and behold, voila, here I am.
Here you are.
So she was, here I am. There were books written about the apparel industry, but up until recently, they were all from men. Like Save the Tiger was made into a movie.
Mm.
but now there are about 3 or 4 of us writing about it, and but a lot of them, they got a ghost in it or a witch, and I don't do that. I'm
Okay.
a salesperson. I deal with black and white. Here's reality. You get the order, you don't get the order.
Right.
But I don't write too many witches. But I have several friends that are paranormal writers, and one of them convinced me to put a ghost in.
Okay.
So in a book that I'm writing now, um, I have the ghost of a woman who was married to a man that I used to be interested. I say I do this all the time. I know my character. See, this is what happens when you write in the first person. You become the
Yes.
character because I am the character. So when people ask me about it, I always say, "Well, Holly Schlivnik is the me I always wanted to be."
Okay. And you have a lot of fun with that?
Oh, I am. I am. She gets into so much trouble, and she's really not a very good detective. I mean, she goes to Cleveland by way of Cairo to get to where she has to go, but inevitably she's like Inspector Clouseau. The cops pick the wrong person that they're accusing the crime of, and so does Holly. But
Right.
Holly figures it out before then, and she's a thorn in the side of the police, and the coroner
As
is
you
a
do.
friend of hers,
Awesome.
and the coroner keeps telling her that if you don't stay out of trouble, you're going to be one of my patients. So,
So when you say that there are 4 this year and 3 of them are the fashion ones, are you done with the series this year then, or are you just
oh no,
okay,
no,
okay,
no, no. What I am going to do is I'm going to do something that I haven't done it yet, but I've got it mapped out in my head. I have several friends who are young adult writers, and
okay.
I was tossing around an idea, and I said, "What do you think about taking Holly Schlivnik and putting her in high school?" And
Uh-huh.
she starts solving crimes, and she can have her group of yentas because hey, every girl that I knew had friends in school. You sat around at lunchtime and you yacked,
Right.
and I thought my friends would look at me like I was nuts, and they said, "Oh my God, you've got to do it." So
Awesome.
I'm going to.
So when you take her into the YA sphere, do you feel like you'll make the mysteries a little less deathy? Like, would she still be dealing with dead people, or do you think you'll have her deal with like something that's a little lower angst?
No, no. I
Okay.
asked all those questions to my friends. I said, I'm not going to do it if she's going to investigate stealing lunch money. I mean,
Right.
ick. They said, no, murder, 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 murder. And I said,
Okay.
murder? They said, yeah. They said, no sex. I said, well, it's cozy mystery. They don't let you swear or have sex in the
Uh,
adult book. So, which
that
is really
depends.
which
That
is
does
really
depend.
very annoying because people do screw and people do swear. So,
Okay, so I know that like that's the normal that's what some people want, but I will say that I swear in my books, and I also have sexy times in my books. I don't describe them, but I don't just have them hold hands. Like I do have them wake up in the same bed together.
right,
So, I mean, you can do that. I think it just depends on how far in you're going to, take
right,
the reader.
right.
So,
Well,
yeah.
in, in well, that's good to know because if anybody could know it, it'd be you. I'm still the newbie on the block, but you're the one with the books. So, but I introduced a few new characters. I introduced in the book that is coming out next week. The the policeman and I start to get interested in each other. And
Okay.
then in the next book, I introduced a dog, and the dog is a standard poodle named Sigmund Freud,
I love
and
it.
he is my psychiatrist as well as my pet. And he doesn't help me solve the crimes, but he
Okay.
saves me a couple of times in the book.
That works.
And I thought that the cast was just a little too white, so
Okay.
I've introduced people of color as the detectives,
Nice.
but nobody who was as part of, like my group. So I introduced a woman, and I didn't make her black. I made her from India,
Okay.
and because they do a lot of apparel
Mm,
production in India, so there was that
connection.
line of communication there. Right,
Yeah.
right. So I'll see how those are going to work, and then I introduced another man who was from that book I told you about. That's about the story of my being
Yes.
getting to the apparel industry. There was such a man. I've kind of changed around a little bit with some poetic license,
Right.
and he has come back into my life. And it is his dead wife who is the ghost who is trying to get the protagonist to get rid of the cop and marry her husband so that she can go on to wherever they go after they die, because she needs
Okay.
him to be happy. That
And
should be fun.
that's still a Holly book.
That's coming up.
That's so
Yeah,
the ghost
that
is
that
going to be
that
part
is
of the Holly book, the apparel
right,
books.
right.
Okay. Okay. Interesting.
Yep.
So will you keep ghost, like,
You
is
know,
that going to be the only ghost, or is that going to be like is it an added
no,
element that you're going to
I
keep doing?
well, I've got another series in mind, and
Okay.
it's not going to be in the apparel industry, but it's going to take place in the area where I live. I grew up in Los Angeles, but we live in Palm Springs.
Oh,
6 months of heaven and 6 months of
oh,
whose stupid idea was this? Yes,
we
okay.
used to live right
So
over the
my
mountain
goal
from
from
Palm Springs.
oh, you were from Hemet, right?
Yep.
Hemet, right?
Yep.
Cooler in Hemet than it is down here in hell. Oh,
Yes.
I'm so
Yeah.
sorry. Well, but somebody asked me the other day what I would want on my tombstone, and I said, "Who done it?"
Nice. Of course. Well, and you got to think these things ahead of time so that people are aware of what your desires are when something happens. You don't want them to put something stupid like,
I, the loving mother. Yeah, I
yeah,
mean I am, but
right. But that
how,
might not be your
how
defined.
pedestrian.
Right, right. I want someone to walk past my tombstone and giggle. I want it to be like a celebration of life the entire time, whether or not you know me.
Of course.
Oh, you do?
Your daughter's still in college, or is
Yes.
she? Your
No,
daughter's in.
we're graduating June. So I'm like, oh,
Oh
I'm
wow!
excited,
How
but
cool!
it's gonna be wild. So it's a new phase of
Now, what
life.
did she major?
So she
What did
is
she major in?
animation. Yeah. So
How
animation
cool!
and stop motion animation is so she is
Oh,
very into like Nightmare Before Christmas, Paranorman, um that kind of Coraline. And so
aha!
she's very excited and she's doing a bunch of commission stuff, and she's been doing some of my book covers for the things that I'm self-publishing. So we're getting her out and about. We'll see how it works
How
out.
wonderful!
Oh
That
yeah.
is fantastic.
Yeah. Well,
Oh, you got
this,
to be proud
like,
of
can you
that.
see that? So that's my logo.
Yes.
That she drew that when she was 14. And I got it tattooed when she was 16. And she's like, Mom, I could do so much better. And I'm like, okay, look, I paid for this and I can do with it whatever I want. And I love it. So back off. And that's mine to do it. And she's like, oh. And I'm like, no, stop it. mine. I get to do. So yeah, it's really great. And I love working with her to come up with the concept and then kind of, yes, I like that. No, that's not quite what I'm looking for. And then, being able to deal with different kinds of readers, I guess, because so we've talked about this before with the cozy mystery market. There's a certain expectation. I get that, and I love those books, and I love that those expectations are met. But I think that there are other people who enjoy
Right.
reading cozy mysteries too, who don't have those same guidelines. And so I'm doing some self-publishing to be able to pretty much write what I want and, to still stay in my lane, but not, but widen my lane, I guess, broaden my path a little bit, because there are people who, want people in their 40s who do swear. It's hard, if you're dealing with a cop and the cop is like, you are such a pain in my tiny. I That's not me. I'm gonna say ass. That's just all
No,
there's
no,
to it.
no.
And
Me
so,
too.
so
You know what I've done?
yes, what?
I say whatever I want, but I say it in another language.
Oh, there you go.
The word,
Saucy.
the word merde, M-E-R-D-E, in French means shit.
Right,
So
there you go.
I say merde. So
You
my
can.
my son speaks a lot of languages. So I
Okay.
asked him, I said, give me a bunch of, here are the swear words, and
Yes.
give me, some, how do you
Alternative.
say them in other languages? So he gave me, we started with French, and I have to tell you, the editors haven't said a word, the
There you,
readers haven't said a word, and I, it worked great. You
there
should
you
try
go.
it.
Okay, I'll have to think about that. And that's, I think, like I was saying, I think that, there are so many books out there that hit all of the markers that the cozy reader wants. And I think that there's room for us to then hopefully bring in new readers by giving us, a different kind of story. And I think that's very cool. And then if you're pulling in your young adults with young adult Holly, who then hopefully will go
Yes.
and read adult Holly once they age out of young adult Holly, that's a great thing.
I really broke all the rules
That's
for
okay.
cozy mysteries. Mine is an urban setting, not a little town.
Okay.
I'm not my protagonist is not a librarian. She's not a candy store owner. She's not a donut store owner. She doesn't make pizza. My protagonist drives a 65 pink vintage convertible and lives on a houseboat in Marina Del Rey.
There you go.
And she's me. So she's
Right.
mouthy. She's irreverent.
Nothing wrong with
And
that.
she speaks her mind. And if you don't like it,
That's okay
too
too.
bad.
Right.
And I
I
figured I didn't think I'd sell anything, but it's done well.
Good. That's awesome. Well, and I think that, there are a lot of people who are willing to branch out a little bit if you give them the big things that they're
Yeah.
looking for. The amateur sleuth, the clues, and the game, the puzzle, and the justice. I think they're willing to come along, on your journey with your character as long as
I
you give them those things that they're looking for. There are still going to be
I think
people
you're
who are
right.
going to see one swear word and they're going to be like, nope, that's not for me. And that's okay. There are lots of books out there for that
Oh,
person, and I would
yes.
love for them to read them. But then there are people who are like, oh, well, I don't mind that.
Oh,
And
no,
so
no,
then
no.
you speak to a slightly different audience, but there's overlap.
Right. Well,
Love it.
I try to approach everything by the way I was in the apparel business. If I was going to sell a store and I had never done business with them, before I even made the call for an appointment, I would go to their department and I would mentally take it apart to see what they already have. If they have it, they don't need it from me.
Right.
And I would try and really analyze if I have something for their customer. When you're a woman, you can be incognito. I
Right.
would stand near the cash register and see who bought what and stuff like that. And
I
I
love
used
it.
to schlep my designers and my merchandisers with me before we would go to a store and make sure that we had the right product for them. And I
Yeah.
approached this writing the very same way because I don't know any different. And
Right.
the last time you and I spoke, you reiterated some of the best advice. Write what you know.
Yes. It makes a
So I know
difference.
this.
And and that comes through, I mean, as you're writing a book, as someone is reading the book, I mean, I think that you can learn some things, if you want to write a baker,
Yes, yes, yes,
or
yes.
if you want to write somebody who runs a B&B, you don't necessarily have to own a B&B. But I do think that there is a different
Right.
level of understanding and a different level of characterization if it is something you've done. If it is something that you've sunk yourself into, you're going to phrase things differently. You're going to think about things differently. Holly is going to say something that someone who's never sold apparel is not going to say, but it's going to ring with a reader because it's going to sound really authentic.
Well, that's true. And it creates a different set of problems
Yes.
because just because I'm familiar with it doesn't
Right?
mean that they are. So I've got to
Yes.
explain it, and I can't explain it as if they're going to come work for me because
Right.
they'll go, ugh, goodbye. Who
Right.
cares? Too much
Right.
information.
Yeah.
So
There's a
you
line
really
there.
have to. There is a fine line,
Yeah.
and I have mastered that part of it, thank
Good.
God, because I I tried to think like the reader. Okay, Holly, you don't know anything about this industry. How much do you really need to know in
To
order to
understand the
get this
story.
book?
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
It makes a big difference.
So that there is, but I think that your point is well taken because I think that if you don't know it, that's fine, but you better
Yes.
do a heck of a lot of research so you do know it.
Right. Or not, like, so when I was researching Tally, who lives above a funeral home, I went to the funeral home and I spent 3 hours there. And I was like, okay, so tell me about, like, how do you get the people to not look so yucky when they're in the coffin? Well, there are pink. Well,
Yes,
I mean, that's a valid question because they're not that color if they're in regular light. And so he said, well, there are actually specific light bulbs that are pink that will,
right,
shade differently, and how do you keep, you know, noise from penetrating in? How do you, what things do you put out all the time so that they're ready? How
right.
far do you think it? And these are the kind of things that they may never show up in a book. But the fact that I know them is going to build a
You're
foundation of information that I then can jump off of, which then makes it sound authentic.
now see, I think that's brilliant.
Oh,
Absolutely brilliant. I mean,
thank you.
for me, the research is, if I don't know something, I go to the Mart in Los Angeles and go to see a friend and go into the showroom and I will look around. I'll say, okay, this looks different. What are you doing here?
Right.
And, you know, but the reader really doesn't care that you sell a department store differently than you do a specialty store.
Correct.
They don't need to know the detail. They're going to
No.
see it when you have the interaction. There's a continuous character, Sue
Okay.
Ellen McGee, and she is based on a very close friend of mine who was a buyer, who we hated each other when she was a buyer. When she came to the wholesale side, we were best
Oh,
friends,
well, there you go.
and she was a witch. We all called her the Queen of Mean.
Uh-oh.
I mean, oh my God. And that is how I have played my friend Sue Ann in the books. And I think all of my characters are based on people I know.
Okay.
So, and the fun part is naming them
Yes.
because I sometimes do a play on their name, like Mr. Newman became Mr. Oldham.
Oh, there you
Mr.
go.
Arbitman became Mr. Workman because Arbitman in German means workman.
I
So I
love
just
it.
made him Workman instead of Arbitman.
There you go.
So, but I do have a couple, like an inside joke. There was a guy named Turpin, Turpin.
Okay.
So my husband says, call him Jack Tyne. So instead of Turpin, it's Tyne, Turpentine.
Turpentine.
Yeah.
Nicely done. That's awesome.
But
Well, you can have a
I'm
lot
the
of
only
fun
one
with
that
it.
laughs because nobody.
But I
Oh,
think that still
absolutely,
comes
absolutely.
through. I mean, even if they don't get the joke, I think your joy in writing those kinds of characters and your joy in showcasing that it's still there. They may not understand why. I mean, I think for me anyway, a lot of
Right.
reading experience comes down to, is the author enjoying themselves writing this? You can tell when they are, and
Oh,
it
God, yes,
puts another level of escape, I think, into our books, to be able to say,
absolutely.
oh, she was having fun with that one.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
So
laugh at all my own jokes. If I don't find them funny, nobody else is.
you have to.
I mean,
You have to.
I am like Red. I am like Red Skelton. I'll sit there and I'm laughing hysterically. My husband will come in and say, "Oh, you're writing. Oh, okay." Or I'll say to him, "What? I'm reading you this line. Am I the only one that's going to laugh?"
Yeah.
Which is the other thing.
Yes.
But the three things that I have been gratified by is, number one, so far nobody has figured out who done it, which for me
Nice.
is great.
Good job.
And for the people who know me personally, time after time they say, hear your voice saying the words in the
Yes.
book. It's
Yes.
you.
Yes.
And the third thing is what you pointed out before. There is a lot of credibility because I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And it comes through. So
Right.
those three things were very important to me. And the fourth one is talking about the industry from a woman's point of view. And
Go.
this is a traditionally male-dominated industry. At least it was when I got into it.
Okay.
I was the only woman in my area I was a traveling sales lady, and I did it
Interesting.
in the deep southern states. By accident. I was
Right.
visiting my family. My dad was at a trade show. The family had an emergency, calls me up and says, "Come to Atlanta and work the show." And I'm like, I'm looking
And,
around to see who the hell he's talking to.
right. And do
I
what?
said, "Me?"
Excuse me.
I said, "And do what?" And he said, "Well, I have to go to Cleveland and you'll be great." So I said, "Who's going to help me?" He says, "Your mother." I said, "Great. The blind leading the deaf. So this will be good." So Tweedledee and Tweedledum get on the plane. We go to Atlanta. He gives me 1 hour of how to be a salesperson.
Oh.
And leaves. 3 days. 3 days.
Wow.
But he came back and I had a gazunta big stack of orders.
Nice.
And I was just out of school and there weren't very many jobs for female journalists in my day. And he offered me a job. And as my Nana said, if you don't like it, schools will still be there.
Yes.
I said, true. She said, graduate school will still be there in a year if you don't like what you're doing.
Absolutely.
So I would say the first 6 months, it was like being on vacation if you squinted. I
Yeah,
was stayed in hotels. I ate out in restaurants. I yacked with the customers and I got paid. I thought, well,
right.
hey, this isn't bad.
Yeah,
Okay, you're not gonna win the Pulitzer Prize, but all right, you'll be great at this. And Southern people, they're very hospitable, but they also speak their minds. What kind of daddy you have, girl, let you do a job like this? Oh yeah. There were no women who did what I did
right.
there. There were in other parts of the country, but in Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, and the Carolinas, I was it. I was famous, whether I wanted to be or not. I once walked into a showroom in Charlotte, North Carolina. I had a terrible headache, and I asked this young lady if she had any aspirin,
Uh-huh.
and she said, "Oh, yes." She introduces herself, and I said, and I tell her, Susie Black, and she says, "You're her," and I'm like, "How do you know me? Because I don't know you." She says, "Oh, you're famous. If my uncle Herb over here said that if you want to be in this business in this area and you're a woman, talk to you." And
Nice.
I burst out laughing. I did, but
That's awesome.
it was the greatest laboratory for what I do today.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Absolutely. And you take all of
it was
that
good.
and you put it in the books. Even if you choose a different career, you'll still be able to put that kind of forward thinking, that kind of, I mean, because let's be honest, well, yeah, I don't want to out you if it's not true, but I have never murdered anyone. I have also never tried to solve a murder, and so while you're writing what you know when it comes to the industry
Me
that you're
neither.
talking about, right, but when you're writing what you know about the industry, we're still taking
Well,
license with a lot of different things, but I think
that's true.
if the things you do know you can do well, and then you don't really have to think about them, then you have more time and more um creativity, I guess, to be able to do the things that maybe you don't know but make them seem like you know
Yes,
what you're talking about.
that's
It's all good, right?
true. Now, if you it does, it did. But if you want to know 25 ways to screw up a car, I'm your girl.
Okay. Nice,
In
nice.
fact, I have become within the other authors that I see everyone more often. They'll call me up. Okay, listen, how do you? What's the best way to do this? And I said, well, you can get rid of take off the distributor cap or take out a spark plug. If you
Right.
want to be nasty, cut the brake lines
There
and
you
just
go.
shim them a little bit. And people say, have you done this? I said, of course not. But there are
But
a
I
few
know
people
how.
I wouldn't have minded doing it to, but not now.
No, I mean, and let's not make this something that, forensic files looks for later when something happens and you're like, no, it wasn't me. And they're like, well, you did sound like you knew what you were talking about.
That's right. That's
Oh my,
right.
too funny. Well,
And
we
if
have,
God forbid one of these people that I write about, if
oh,
God forbid one of these people that I write about dies in real life, I could be in trouble.
right, right. That's why I say I don't use the name of the town for real, because I don't want the cops to look at me first if something happens. So, and I mean, there's a certain level of suspension of disbelief, obviously, with our books. But if you can make them come along for the ride, and you give them what they're looking for, which 9 times out of 10 is like an escape from daily then I think
Right.
we've done our job and done it well.
Well, I love puzzles.
Yes.
I love word puzzles,
Yeah.
and I'm very nosy. Some people say that I am very nosy.
Okay, that's all
I
right.
think I'm just curious,
Okay.
but I love the reason why I love this category, this genre, is because I love the idea that I don't know how you are, but with me, I know exactly what the beginning is going to be and how it's going to end.
Yes.
The middle part of how I get to the end is the most fun. It can be the most frustrating
Yes.
because that's the part that I don't ever really have down pat when I'm sitting
Right.
there trying to start. And it just kind of, sometimes the characters take over.
Yes.
So I have something funny to tell you.
Okay.
My book covers are all the same. It
Okay.
is a skeleton wearing a bikini.
Yes.
And the bikini or a swimsuit, because in
Right.
Death by Surfboard, it's a man.
Oh,
So he's just
okay.
wearing trunks. But all the others are it's the same skeleton in a bikini,
Right.
and she changes her background
Right.
according to what the story is about, and she changes her outfit. One day it's a red bikini, and the next one it's lime green. Anyway,
Right.
so I decided that my skeleton was upset because she didn't have a name.
Oh.
So I'm running a contest now. Right
Oh.
before I started today, and it'll be announced on Wednesday when the book is released.
Right.
So I went online and I created this. Skeleton is very upset with me because she doesn't like being called "Hey You,"
Right.
and she has demanded a name, but she doesn't trust me to give her the name. She only wants her legion of fans. So
There you go.
I'm making it into a contest, and whoever gets chosen will win the book.
I
And
love
I
it.
have to tell you, some of the names are hilarious. Um, Ms. Bones, Miss Skelly. Um, they're a riot.
That's
So
awesome.
I think it's going to be fun.
Good. Yes. Well, and that gets people involved and they like being involved. So that is wonderful. So I will get this up hopefully in time for people to, where is that? Facebook on your website? Where do they, or is that like your reader group thing?
The contest, I
Yes.
mean,
Yes.
well, they have to go to my web. Well, they have to go to my website,
Okay.
and they have to click the contact button, and then the website sends me an email that
Uh-huh.
they have um, submitted their name, and it gives me an email address, so I
Okay.
can write them back and say, I've received it, and uh, but yeah, it's I don't know how it's going to work, but so far it's I've been taken aback. I mean, I probably have 50 names so far.
That's awesome. That is awesome. I love it. I love it. Oh my gosh, we're at 40 minutes. Okay, so that's a great place then for us to go with, what is your website address?
uh, www.authorsusieblack.com.
And Susie is Susie.
Correct. I
Okay.
can email it to you.
Oh, I just meant when people are watching this, if they want to, I can put it in the comments or in
Ah,
the description also. But that way, if they want to come over and check out what's going on and look around your website and know about the contest and
oh,
be excited
that would
about
be
it,
great.
absolutely,
That would be
absolutely.
great. I've got some fun blog uh, things that they can read as well.
Oh, good.
My musings mostly,
That's all
but
right.
I do have one thing on there that I think that all my author friends thought was great. I put a whole article on how to write a review.
Oh, cool. That is wonderful.
We all need
Excellent. Oh, you froze.
we all need reviews, and I think that a lot of people would do it
if they felt more
they are
confident.
intimidated because they don't have. I've gotten some good feedback on it.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
this is
good.
fun, huh?
Yes, absolutely. It was so wonderful to talk to you again. I'm super excited about your book that's coming out next Wednesday. I hope that your skeleton naming contest is going to go fabulous. And if you want to come on before any of the other books come out, or
Oh, I
you
would
just let me know.
love to.
Okay, we'll
I have
do
more
that.
fun with you than almost. I'm telling you, we always laugh,
I know.
and
I
I think
love it.
that's the best part. We
It
do.
is
It's like
awesome.
just two old friends sitting here
Yes,
yakking. It's great.
that's my favorite
I'm
part
looking
about.
at this. I'm looking at the stuff in your background. You got some very interesting things on those shelves
Oh,
behind you.
yep, yep. I have so I have pop vinyl.
Are you a collector?
Oh, well, I'm married to a collector. Then that also makes
Ah,
me a collector. So I don't necessarily ask for these things, but these things are found and then they're presented as presents. And I do love them, don't get me wrong. So right there is it's a Muppet stage. And it was he
how
actually built it
interesting.
himself from a flat
Oh,
sheet
wow.
that he printed out. And yeah, and
Then
so
you
it
have
has,
looks like a Kermit up there also.
yes, yep,
A Kermit
Kermit
over
is
on
a,
the side. Is that right?
yep, yep. And I have Maui from the Moana movie. And I don't think you can see, oh yeah, you can. There's Ludo from the Labyrinth
Oh, yeah.
right there. And
Right, right.
then I have Gurgi from, wait, where's that? Right there. Gurgi from the Black Cauldron, that's from Disney.
Yeah.
I have the ghost.
Now, who's the black? The it looks like a skeleton hero. Who's this one with the black shroud around her, right in the middle?
Oh, that is the Grim Reaper. Just as you do, it was a fun Grim Reaper. Then I have, this is Sherlock Hemlock, which is from
Ah,
Sesame Street. So, yep, I
that
have a
is
little bit of
hilarious.
everything. So, and I also started, I have to show them
Can
to
you
you.
see this?
No, you gotta hold it up a little bit more.
Can you see this?
Yes,
It's
that's
a
awesome.
frog wearing a bikini.
I adore it. That is fabulous.
It was
I
the
don't,
first gift that my husband ever gave me
oh,
when we were dating.
that's
So
adorable.
now it's a good paper. It's a good paperweight now.
Absolutely, as you do, as you do.
I love. I'm a collector, but I don't collect this kind of stuff. I'm a stamp collector,
Oh, that's cool. I love it.
and I have had. Oh yes, I started when I was a child,
Oh,
and I've been all over the world
right.
through my stamps.
That's so
But
cool.
that background was very interesting. I've been sitting here the whole time kind of
Oh,
going, what the hell is that?
yeah, I
And
got all kinds
you
of
told
stuff.
me, but that what your husband built that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, that was my Christmas present last year. So, and then I have the the Haunted Mansion is the other thing that I like. So
Ah,
that's one of the Doom buggies.
yeah.
And then I tend to,
It looks like one of those. It looks like one of those snow globes.
yes,
You
well,
know, when you go
actually,
to
it's a,
Disneyland, you get a snow
yes,
globe.
yeah, there's no snow in it though. It's just,
Uh
so
huh.
that's a lot of fun. And then I got a key to the Haunted Mansion. So that was another present.
How cool!
I tend to make,
Have you been to? Have you been to Disneyland?
oh yeah, yep. We used to live in
You've been to the
California
haunted
when we
house
lived in
there?
Hemet. Yep. When we lived in Hemet, we had a year-round pass. So I tend to make things. So
Oh,
this is my new swag, and it says "You've been mystified," and it's a Loch
I
Ness
loved it. I
monster.
love the
So I'm trying to think if I think I,
yeah,
hold
I
on,
have
I'm
one
not
of
doing.
those too.
So when you use it as a bookmark, that's what it looks like.
Oh, how cool.
So then
That's very clever.
thank you. And then I'm also making for author friends that I get to see. This is called a pocket muse. And so he's a little Yeti. And then his umbrella says, "You've got this." So I'm making them. So yeah, that's what I do. I make things, he buys things. We got a lot of things. That's how that works.
I'm not the handiest human being on earth, so
I got you.
I don't make anything. I
That's
wish I
okay.
did, but
Here's one more for you. So this I found at Target, and it was just the hand and the globe. So I printed out one of my book covers and I put it in there, and then inside it
oh
says,
my
"What if
goodness,
I
I
fall?
love you.
Oh my darling, but what if you fly?" And then I decorated the bottom with interrobangs.
Oh my
And then
goodness, that is so cool.
thanks. And then the globe, I actually swirled my tagline.
Really?
So yeah,
Jeez,
yeah, that's what I
that's
do.
impressive.
Yeah, it was $5. And I was like, I have to have that. And my husband's like, "What are you doing with it?" I'm like, "I have no idea, but I have to have it." And then we're walking out of the store and I'm like, oh, yes. Yeah. So I bought 12 of them because that's what I
good.
do.
I love
So
that.
thank you. So, well, this has been so much fun. I'm going to go ahead and close it out. I may leave all of this in because I think it's a lot of fun and people like to see things and hear, personal stuff.
Well,
So, but it has been such a pleasure talking to you. Please let me know when the next book is coming out, and I would love to talk with you again. Good. And someday
wonderful.
we'll meet and we'll have lots of fun.
May.
Okay. Let me know.
Oh
Email
my
me
gosh,
and we'll
wouldn't
figure
that
it
be
out.
great?
Yes, it'll be
Take
wonderful.
care. Thank you.
Okay, you do the same.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Absolutely.